Hey there, it's WebDev 1 by 1, and today it's going to be about TypeScript and how you can use TypeScript to avoid having runtime errors, but have these errors appear at compile time. And it's not a complete course about TypeScript, it's not an introduction, but it's to show how TypeScript can help you with many problems, help you avoid bugs in the end at runtime, and have them caught as early as possible during development time or during build time. Okay, so let's start. First, we create a new project. So I'm here in the terminal in Visual Studio Code. You can go to a different terminal, for example, your command line in Windows or your command line or your terminal in Mac or Linux. So I'm using npm create vite to create the project, and then we are asked to enter the project name. And let's say, since I'm already in a subfolder, this is TS Starter YT. So TS Starter YT for YouTube. And here we choose for the framework is vanilla because we don't use any framework here. We use plain JavaScript and HTML. And here, of course, we choose TypeScript for the variant. Okay, so that's it. And TS Starter YT, we have to change in that directory. And this directory is also opened here in Visual Studio Code. And then npm install to install the necessary packages. Wait a bit. And that's it. So now we can start the project, which is a demo project with a counter button. So npm run dev. And here we have the URL. So I'm copying this, pasting it here, and we can see here we have the DevTools already. And here we can see that this is a button that is counting up, just to show what can be done here with Vite and TypeScript, of course. Okay, so let's check the code. So here we have src source, and main ts is the main file here. And this is setting in a HTML. And it already uses TypeScript here for typecasting here. But we will delete all that code and put in some new HTML here. So this we're going to replace with a simple input field and then also a button. So let's do that. So here we have the input field. We have a button submit, and here we will put a click handler, and also we have the output div. And here the input is type number, which is important in our case. Very simple. Here you can enter a number and then submit, and then the actual code will multiply that with 2 and then output it here. So we need some code here in main TS. I've deleted all the previous code, and now let's start with simple JavaScript, and then we can convert that to TypeScript. So this is normal JavaScript, and to avoid having TypeScript check errors here, I will put that comment here. So @ts -no check will suppress all errors, all TypeScript errors here. And then we will remove that and see what TypeScript can do for us. Okay, so what are we doing here? We are getting all the elements here, input and button and output with getElementById. And then we are registering this click handler here with @eventListener. Event is click. And then we have this arrow function that is handling the click, and we are fetching the value entered by the user with input.value. This is important here. And then we are doing the value .toFixed to set it to a fixed decimal number, so 2 decimal places here. And then we are outputting it, and before outputting, we are multiplying it with 2. And then we set the text content of the output div here. So very simple, and one could think that this is no problem and it should work. But let's check in the browser if it really works. So I'm entering here, let's say 10, submit, and here you should have 20, but it is not working. We have this error here, unquote type error. So we have already a type error, but this is at runtime. Value.toFixed is not a function, and that's the problem. So toFixed is not a function. toFixed normally is a function or a method of number. And here it says no, there is no toFixed method. And we can check again here and debug. We have value, and we can see that value is a string. And that could be the problem, of course. So a string doesn't have toFixed. And that's the problem here. Okay, so we have found the error, the bug at runtime, but I would prefer personally to fix or to find it at compile time or at development time. So here in the editor, it would be nice to have the bug indicated to us. And this is where TypeScript comes in. So I'm removing this comment here, and then we have the type checker of TypeScript. And here we can see multiple errors. So first error is button is possibly null. Okay, so that's a problem. It could be a problem, but that's only theoretically. So we could just put in some code that checks for null or undefined here. So this will fix it. If button, then we can use button.addEventListener. So this is fixing the first error here shown. And here's a second error. Input is possibly also null. Okay, we can fix that. So here we can maybe put in also this here. And here we have a different error now. Property value does not exist on type HTML element. Okay, so that's also a problem, but it is not, because we already know that this here is not a simple HTML element, but it's specifically a number input element or an input element. So how can we do this or fix this in TypeScript? This is a type error. We know that this is an input element, but TypeScript doesn't know that. So we can say as HTML input element, and this fixes this error here. Okay, so here we said that this is an HTML input element, and this input element has the property value. So this is working, and also this question mark is of course checking for null or undefined. Okay, so there's one more or two more errors. Here we have output is possibly null. Okay, so let's do a quick fix here. If output, then output.textContent, and then the text content with this doubled value here. So there's one error left, and this is here, this value toFixed. Property toFixed does not exist on type string, and this is the error that we had at runtime. So this is a string and it's not a number. What can we do about it? We can cast that or parse that. So for example, we can use parseInt or parseFloat. So let's do parseFloat, and then this error is gone. But we have another error here, fixed. The left-hand side of an arithmetic operation must be of type any number big int or enum type. And here we have toFixed, which returns a string. So we have again a string here, and we can already change that here. So parseFloat times 2, and then toFixed, and then we have this string here. So fixed is a string, you can see that here. Fixed is a string, and we can output that here. And this parseFloat returns a number, so we can multiply a number with another number, so the 2 here. And then we have a number, and we have toFixed, which is returning a string. And the string can be set here, and then we have the text content set to the correct value here. Okay, so let's check that in the browser. Entering, let's say 10 or 9, submit, and doubled, it's 18. So that is working. Okay, so there's a different method to have a number here from the input field. And here I see that this is actually wrong. We should have put quotes around that. So that is a string, value is a string, and that should be also a string. So we have 0 as a string. That would be correct. But there's a different way. We can use value as number. Then we have a number here, as you can see here. And also here we can use a number. So then we don't have to use parseFloat here. And this is also working. And it's a little bit shorter. So most don't know that value as number exists. So this is a very elegant way of solving the problem here, that value is a string, value as a number is a number, and this only exists on input fields with type number, of course. If you have a text input field, then this would be, I think, not a number or null or something like that. So be sure to have a number input field, type number. And to sum it up, this is TypeScript, and we have fixed the problem of using the wrong type here and using the wrong method on the wrong type. So we thought that we had a number, but it was a string, and at runtime you have this method not found error, and here you can solve that, or TypeScript indicates that this is wrong here at development time, and you can use different solutions for that. So for example, value as number, or parse float, parse int. You could also do something like this, number, and then value, if value would be a string. So that's also a possibility. But I think this is the most elegant version here. Okay, so as I said, this was not an introduction to TypeScript, but it was to show you that TypeScript can help you find bugs at development time, at build time. So here in the code editor, you have a TypeScript type checker, which is showing you the errors right here. And if you would compile the code to JavaScript manually, you also would have the errors in the output. Okay, so that's it. If you want to learn more about TypeScript or JavaScript web development, then you can check out my Skool community. Link is in the description, and please leave a like and a subscription here, and see you in the next video.